Hey everyone, it's Warren. Welcome back to my channel and happy New Year's or happy belated New Year's. And welcome back. Today I wanted to make a video talking about my reading goals and channel goals for this year and what I want to do going forward with Booktube and reading. The past 2 years have been kind of difficult for me to stay consistent with making YouTube videos and also reading. I feel like I kind of lost my passion for a lot of this over the past couple years. Just with everything happening in the world, I guess it feels like it was just really hard for me to find something positive and stay focused on something when there was just so much going on. What I was reading was mostly nonfiction because I was really focused on researching something, or I was working on something for school, or just doing some kind of project creatively, and I just wasn't really reading for enjoyment and entertainment and just escapism. I didn't really want to make YouTube videos talking about nonfiction books. I feel like I've sort of renewed my passion and my love for reading and escapism and storytelling. So I have some goals that I want to try and keep and work towards, and so I have a list here on my phone and I'm just going to read what I want to do. So I have some reading goals and Booktube channel goals. I've kind of divided it up into two parts. So the first part is reading goals, and for reading, basically my goal is for this year I would like to read at a minimum 12 books this year, or 1 book per month. And I've already read 1 book for the month of January, so that counts as 1, I guess. I may read more than 12 books, but just as a start and kind of like a bare minimum, that's what I'd like to read, is 1 book per month. I'm kind of a slow reader, and that was another reason that I struggled with Booktube mainly, was that I couldn't keep up with the pace that a lot of other creators were putting out, reading 4 or 5 books a month, and I just couldn't keep up with that. It takes me a month, sometimes even more than that, to read a book. I remember one book I was reading last year, I literally spent the entire year reading through like a few of the chapters. I didn't even finish it. It took me the whole year to read. Luckily it was a nonfiction book, so it was okay to read things here and there and start and stop when you wanted to, but it still kind of sucked that I couldn't finish 1 book. I really want to try and read 1 book a month and not stress myself out of trying to read a ton of books. I don't want to put too much pressure on myself. I rather just enjoy a book thoroughly and read it to my pleasure and not worry about like trying to maintain a pace or a timeline for reading. And I just don't really want this to be a job, at least not yet. It would be really cool if maybe one day down the road social media could be a full-time job, or at least a side hustle of some kind. But for now, I just like Booktube being a hobby. It's fun, and I don't really want to put the pressure on myself to try and make it a second job. So I don't want to force myself to read. There are other hobbies I enjoy doing other than reading, and I just want to do them when I feel like it, and I want to read when I feel like it, and just not have the stress of trying to read a bunch. The number of books that you read really shouldn't matter. It's about what you want to read and if you're enjoying it. I think that's what's more important. The second goal I have, goal number 2, is I'd really like to branch out into new genres this year. The past couple years, like I said, I had been reading a lot of nonfiction, but I was also really trying to figure out how my reading tastes were evolving and changing and becoming a little bit more refined. Things that used to resonate with me don't always do now, and sometimes even had the opposite effect where I liked it less. And it also felt like I was having a really hard time finding something good to read. When I would go into the bookstore, I would browse all the shelves, but just nothing really looked that appealing. Kind of feels like that effect where you open your fridge or your pantry and you just feel like, I'm so hungry, but I don't want anything in here. I need something to eat, but not what's in the fridge. You know, or like in your closet, I have nothing to wear even though you have a whole closet full of clothes. It just kind of feels like that, where you're just not satisfied with anything, but you want something to read and satisfy yourself with. So it was just kind of a weird time where I just didn't have a lot that I enjoyed reading. And so this year I want to read a lot more graphic novels and manga, and also a little bit of adult fantasy and even some classical literature. Graphic novels specifically have helped me sort of find my reading passion again and get me out of a really long reading slump. It wasn't just like a reading slump, it was like a whole damn valley. And graphic novels have kind of helped me over the past few months find like excitement and a passion for reading again, and I want to make a separate video about that. But I think that all of these genres have a lot of potential for growth in myself as a reader, so I really want to try and read more of those this year. So those are my only really big reading goals for this year, is just I want to read certain genres, and I'd like to read at minimum 1 book a month. And that's really about it. Like, I just don't want to put stress and pressure on myself to try and read and make it a chore. It should be something enjoyable. And I really just want to enjoy that escapism again and not really be so focused on making it just feel like a chore. So now we're getting into my Booktube goals and what I want to do for my channel this year, mainly, which would be be more consistent with it. My first goal for Booktube is just to post more consistently. And so I'm giving myself the same goal that I have for reading this year, which is I just want to make at minimum 1 video a month. And I think I'm going to start posting on Fridays now. It just seems like it's a good day going into the weekend. People are catching up on content and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to try and post every Friday. So if you can remember that, maybe just remember to check out my channel on Fridays and make sure you have the notification bell on so that you'll get notified when I make videos. I feel like it's achievable to post 1 video a month. I feel like it's achievable. I used to be really good at it, and YouTube is still the content king. Honestly, like even though you've got Instagram Reels, you've got Book Talk, you've got all these places that are doing really well with content, YouTube is still kind of the big hub of where most of the content is, really where I like to be. This is a hobby that I enjoy and that I have fun with. It's just been hard for me to keep up with it lately, and so I really want to try to prioritize it more without making it feel like it's a second job or anything. And in addition to all of the usual fun booktuber content like hauls and reading vlogs, I also really want to go more in depth and talk about certain books and certain genres and go really in depth into sort of the history and the writing of those things. And I have some really cool ideas for some short films and video essays that I think would be really cool to produce. And another personal goal that I have for Booktube is I would really like to reach 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I know that you really shouldn't base your success on numbers, but I would like to see this channel climb out of the depths of the YouTube algorithm limbo and just like actually start growing again and just not sitting in this limbo where it's been for the past 2 years and just seems to be like kind of dripping off subscribers and views very slowly. I want to actually try and like revitalize this channel and get it growing again and actually building up a platform and an audience. My second Booktube goal, my 4th goal overall, is I'd really like to participate in a readathon and also host a readathon of my own. They're just so much fun to do, and they're fun to make reading vlogs about, and they actually provide a pretty good motivation for getting reading done if you feel like you've been putting off a book that you've been wanting to read or reading a bunch of books at once. It's kind of the one exception to my sort of no pressure rule about reading books, is that a readathon is more like a race or like reading really fast in a short amount of time. It can be fun in small doses, and so I really want to host and participate in some readathons this year. There's a bunch of annual readathons that go on throughout the year, but there's 3 in particular that I'd like to do this year. And the first one is a 24-hour readathon. It sounds like so much fun to dedicate a whole day just to reading and enjoying something, and I feel like it'd be really fun to make that into a vlog and just document my sort of real-time reading and reactions to a story. Just have like a fun content day with that. The other readathon is the March of the Mammoths, which is a readathon that takes place in March where readers try to tackle some of the biggest books on their TBR that are usually 800 pages or more. That seems like that'd be really fun to just pick a giant brick of a book to try and read throughout the month of March, kind of give yourself a little boost in your reading goal. And right along those lines, the other readathon that I'd like to do this year is one that I'd want to personally host, and that is a Lord of the Rings readathon. I'm sure there are already marathons that go on every year for this, but there's something that I personally want to do, and any of you who want to read along with me are welcome to join in whenever I decide to do it, and just read the entire Tolkien Legendarium. I've actually never read the entire series all the way through, and I've never read the Silmarillion. As big of a fan as I am of Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, of the movies, the books, I've never actually read the entire series straight through and just like really appreciated the original source material that all of this fandom has come from. And so I'd like to do a massive Tolkien readathon. My 5th and final goal, my 3rd Booktube goal, is I'd like to organize my bookshelves. It's been more than a year since I've done any sort of like organization of any of these shelves. They've been sitting like this for almost 2 years, and I've got piles of books all over the floor around my room, just getting in the way of stuff and being a mess. So I really want to sort through all of my books, decide which ones I'd like to put on my shelves, which ones I can put into storage or just find another place to store them in, and just try to make more space on my shelves for my newer purchases and things I'm currently collecting. My whole reading corner of my room just needs a good cleanup and organization. So that's something that I would really like to do as well. And maybe I'll do a bookshelf tour when I'm done, because I haven't done one of those in a long time. So those are all of my reading goals and my Booktube goals for this year. I really want to just make a comeback on Booktube, and personally for my own reading and what I'm enjoying. And finally, reading things that I'm passionate about and that I find enjoyment and entertainment in. So those are all of my goals. I hope you all enjoyed. Please let me know what you think of my goals in the comments and what your goals are. I'd love to hear what your personal reading goals for this year are. And as always, please like, subscribe, and you can follow me on my social media down below. I've got Instagram and Goodreads. I don't really use Twitter anymore. I don't have Book Talk, so I just use Instagram mostly. So if you want to talk to me on there or follow me, I'm trying to post more often there as well. Anyways, links are in the description, and I'll see you guys hopefully soon with a new video. Thank you all so much for watching, and happy reading to everybody. Bye!